Have a good morning. With the help of Hashem, we are learning today's three prakim Rambam. Hilchos Malven Loiva prakim Yud Gimel, Yud Dalid, and Tezvav. We are beginning with Perek Yud Gimel, the 13th chapter. That's all going to speak about collecting a shtar choiv, collecting it not in the presence of the borrower. That will also include collecting it from a mashkin. That will also include the time of collection, and that will include the location of collection. Perek Shloisha Asar has 8 halachas, and we are starting with halacha Aleph, says the Rambam. When a lender is coming to collect from the property of the loiva, when the loiva is not present. As we'll see scenarios when such a thing were to happen. So the rule is, number one, first thing Beis Din should attempt to do is get word to him, to notify him, to give him an opportunity to come to the din, to come to the Beis Din. And they have to do that. But that's a key word. If there's no way that they can get word to him, let's say quickly, you can't have a society where people lend money and the borrower disappears and you can't collect. Even though theoretically you should only be able to collect in the presence of the borrower. The borrower might claim he paid back. The borrower might bring proof that he paid back, but the guy is not here. So Beis Din first tries to notify. If they can't do so speedily, the rule is, that's a very important rule, that whenever you collect from someone not in their presence, the collector, in our case, the lender, must take an oath. The oath is that this loan was not yet paid. And only then, does he collect from his property. Property meaning whether it's from real estate, whether it's from a metaltalin. And we don't, by default, say, you may not collect, because for sure the borrower has a receipt. The borrower is not present. So what should the lender do? Never collect the money. Says the Rambam, that's really a rabbinic enactment. Not to have a scenario and a society where people borrow others' money, other people's money. They move to another country and you can't collect from them. And if that were to happen, no one would end up lending. The Nimt say so, it's going to turn out that people won't be able to borrow money. So it's to everyone's benefit, even to this borrower, that such a thing should be permitted. Halacha Beis. Now, aside of the oath that we just spoke about, there are 3 proofs that the lender has to bring in order for him to be able to collect. The first proof is he must verify the authenticity of his document, because if the borrower would have been present, one of the claims that the borrower can make is the document is forged. And if he were to say that, you would have to notarize it. We're going to learn about that later, the different ways of notarizing or authenticating a document. You do it right away. Number 2, the lender has to bring a proof that the borrower is in another city, because maybe he's stuck here. It's not only on the Beis Din to look for him. The lender has to look for him, and he has to bring a proof that the and number 3, that these properties are shel ploini haloiva, and they belong to the borrower, which is why the lender is claiming to the Beis Din, I want to collect it from it. Again, the chasim doesn't mean real estate. Real estate, metaltalin, property of the borrower. Halachigim. Now, what will happen if the lender comes to the Beis Din and he brings a mashkin, security in his hand, and he says that this article is mashkoin shel pleni. It belongs to the borrower. I would like to sell it. In order for me to get payment for the debt that he owes me. Says that Rambam, Ein Beis Din Niskaken Loi. Beis Din doesn't take action, meaning Beis Din does not tell him that no, you can't do that. Wait for the borrower to come, for him to counterclaim. Once you have a mashkin, you lender, you have a lot more power. What's your power? Migu. If the lender would have wanted, he could have claimed I bought it. You understand? Nevertheless, even though we therefore give the lender more power, unlike we had in halacha beis, he doesn't have to bring the three proofs because he already has the mashkin. Hitaka has the right to sell it. But it's better for the lender to sell it in the presence of witnesses. In other words, later the loiva can come and claim, yeah, I owed you money. Yes, you had my security, but I only owe you $100. The mashkin that I gave you was worth $200. You sold it for $200. So push it for the malva to protect himself and tell him, you can sell it. You have a migu. Make sure that you have people that know how much money you got for it. Very good. You see already a benefit of having collateral. That's the reason why people take a mashkin. People take security. If there was a loan and there was a mashkin and both principles passed away. Doesn't matter who passed away first. So basically what we have right now is that being that there is a mashkin, that we learned it yesterday, we learned it last week, that once there is a mashkin, the debt will be collected from the heirs of the borrower because it's already collected. Who's collecting it? The heirs of the lender. Here again, since collection comes only from this mashkin, the iluratza amar, and if the lender or the lender heirs would have wanted to, they could have said, "Lukochu biyadi." So here also, nishba b'nekitas chayfetz. Here they have to take an oath. Now, why b'chlal do they have to take an oath, guys? Because there's a rule that whenever payment is being taken from the heirs, not from the principal, an oath has to be made that this debt was not paid, because there's always such a fear. Maybe it was paid, the heirs don't know. So that's a general oath. And it's an oath ke'ein doiraisa, that it kitas chayfetz. And the noitel kederach kol hanishba'im v'noit. Says that Rambam, that umepneima eina nishba heses. Why wouldn't a shvus heses be enough? At the end of the day, the guy has a mashkin. Lefi she'eina nishba al atzmai shel mashkin, because he's not taking an oath to, let's say, if he would have claimed, I bought this, it's already mine. The other party would have said, no, it's not. And achanami, there you would take a shvus eses. You would be koifer hakel, shvus eses. But that's not what's happening. It's if you would have said, you sold it to me, you gave it to me as a gift. The other party would have said, no, we did not. Then you're right, you only would have to take a shvus eses. But since you're claiming that there is a debt, like we mentioned, that's a general rule. Whenever you collect money from the heirs of the borrower, you always have to take a shvua b'nekitas chayfetz. That what? That the debt wasn't paid, because the heirs wouldn't know. Now, back in the Rambam, in contrast, if there are witnesses that this article is a mashkin, it's only that v'lo yadu al kamam. We just don't know how much money is owed. Here, an oath must be taken. Okay, you have to take an oath. Now, that this is a mashkin, and therefore you could have said shalihu, so you're believed to say yeshli olav kach v'kach. And the neman da shvua atzma, shohaya nishba im hoya sham edem shu mashkin. She'ein noim lemigul lepatre mishvua, only lepatre mimanim. Sholi yachzed as a mashkin achit to. So you have ne'emanus because you have a migul. If there would have been Edom that this is a mashkin and you would not even have a migul, you would have to take an oath. Now that you have a migul, the migul cannot say, you don't have to take the oath, you have to take. The only power that a migul has is it exempts you from payment. So bottom line is that you are neman, so to say. to collect from the mashkin, but you have to take the shvuah benekitas chayfetz that the debt was already not paid back by the father, by the proper borrower, which is why you have the right to collect it from his heirs. Halacha dalid, hamavas chaver ala mashkin, and now the mashkin yourself you lost. And if you remember, we learned that you have the din of a shomer sachar, and therefore you're chai for gnev and avedom, which means that the money of the debt has to be deducted from the loss of the mashkin. Okay, so there's not that atkan everyone is in consent with. Question is, how much money was the loan? How much money is the value of the mashkin that's not here because it got lost? For us to know who owes who what, you have to understand the mashkin could have been the same value of the debt. If that would have been the case, and the borrower doesn't owe anything, it got canceled out because the lender is chayiv to compensate for the mashkin. It could be the mashkin is less than the debt, so some money is owed. It could be that the mashkin was more valuable than the debt. Could be now the lender owes the borrower money, and all of these cases are going to be spoken out of the Rambam. So case number one. The lender says, Sela, guys, one Sela, Yakir, are 4 dinners. Sela, he'll be Sicha Olav, I loan to you 4 dinners. The mashkin was worth 2 dinners. Yes, I lost it. I'm like a Shomer Sachar. So 2 dinners are deducted from the debt. You still owe me the other 2 dinners. That's case number one. The borrower says, no. Yeah, Sela, he'll be sunny. Emes, you loaned to me 4 dinners, but the mashkin was also worth 4 dinners. It was worth 1 Sela. In other words, now I owe you 0. So the din is, as we learned in the previous segment, that's Machlala Shvur. When a Shomer Sachar loses an article, what's the chashash? Even though the Shomer is willing to pay for it, maybe he's trying to buy it. So he makes that oath. Now, once that oath is established, basically the Malva is saying you owe me 2. The Loiva is saying I owe you nothing. That's called the Koifer Hakel. Koifer Hakel, the Loiva Nishba Heses, Shoy Yeshova Keneged Achoiv, the Niftar, as is the rule by every Koifer Hakel. All you need to do is to take a Shvos Heses. Omar Malva, case number 2, the Malva is saying, Selva, he'll be Sicha Olav. The loan was of 4 dinars. Ushnei dinarim hayeshava. The mashkin was worth half. The mashkin was worth 2 dinars. Again, I lost 2 dinars, deducted off the debt. You still owe me the other 2 dinars. Yeah, I borrowed from you a sell. The mashkin was worth 3 dinars. Gavaldik, right? Not a koifer hakel, but a maidim mixas. So here again, the Malva has to swear she'ena b'reshus. Now the Malva is saying you owe me 2. The Loiva is saying I only owe you 1. That's a maidim mixas. Now the Loiva has to swear for its value. Kedin every maidim mixas. Next case, Omar Loiva. Sela he'll be sani olav. The Loiva is saying, I borrowed from you 1 Sela for dinner. The mashkin was worth 2. I only owe you 2. The Malva is saying, Selve v'hil v'sicha. I'm sorry, no. Shtayim ha'yeshava means the mashkin was worth 2 Sela. The borrower is saying the mashkin was worth double the amount of the loan. I borrowed 1. I gave you a mashkin worth 2 saloim. In other words, now you owe me. You owe me a seller. Malva saying, no, it was equal. I loaned you a seller. The mashkin was worth a seller. Now we're equaled out. You don't owe me, but I don't owe you. So now it's interesting. First of all, the Malva always has to swear she'ena b'reshusay. Now, normally, what would the Malva have to do? The Malva now is the one that has to take the shvuas hesses. Okay, so v'koil b'shvuasay shoya mashkin keneged achoiv, which is why he doesn't owe anything to the loiva. Next case, Amar loiva selling lisani olav. I borrowed 1 selah. And here again, the loiva is saying the mashkin that I gave you was worth 2 selah in. In other words, the loiva is saying, you borrower, now you owe me 1 selah. At least they're always agreeing in how much money was the loan. Elama, here the malva is a moed b'mixus. The malva is saying it was worth 5 dinars. Guys, again, the sell is 4 dinars. The malva is saying, yes, I owe you 1. I owe you 1 dinar. The loiva is saying that the malva owes him 4 dinars. So again, he has to take the shvos hashemah. And he has to make this oath now that it was only worth 5, right, and not 8, which is what the loiva is claiming, and he has to pay the dinner. Next case, the selve b'sicha olav. This is all the borrower. You loaned to me. I borrowed from you 1 selah. Ushnei dinarim hayeshava. I'm sorry. This is said by the malva. The mashkin was worth 2 dinars. In other words, the malva is claiming you still owe me the other 2 dinars. Now his loiva says, I have no idea what was the value of the mashkin. So the din is Yeshava hamalva she'ena b'reshusay, which he always has to do. V'koilel, the malva has to swear that it was worth 2 dinars, which is to authenticate the malva's claim that he still owed the other 2 dinars. And v'shalom alei v'sharachayv, and indeed the loiva has to pay the 2 dinars because the loiva is agreeing bevadai that he's chayiv. That's the case over here. The loiva doesn't know how much the mashkin was worth, so he doesn't know whether he paid him or whether he did not pay him. Bari v'shema, the malva took the oaths. The loiva has to pay. Sell the next case. Sell lisani olav. Now we're beginning with the borrower. The borrower says, I borrowed from you 1 selah, ushtayim hayeshala. But the mashkin that I gave you was worth 2 selayim. In other words, you malva, you owe me a selah. The malva is the one that says, I don't know how much it was worth. Yeshava hamalva she'ena b'reshusay, which is what the oath he always has to take. The yichlol, that he doesn't know, shedama v'yaser alachayv afilu truta achas. He doesn't know how much the value is, and he will not have to pay. In other words, when a person, Yakir, doesn't admit to any debt, even though he's saying Shema, but he's not moida on anything. See, in the previous case, the loiva is moida that it began with a debt. Here the malva is saying, who says there ever was a debt? So all he has to swear is that he doesn't know how much it was worth. And he doesn't have to give anything. That's because he was not moida to anything. Aval, in contrast, if the malva says, I know that the mashkin was worth more than a selah. That I know. The loiva is claiming it was worth 2 selah. The malva is saying, I don't know how much more it was worth. In other words, I definitely owe you. I just don't know how much. Here we say, here he has to pay. And it's amazing. No one, the loiva doesn't even have to take an oath. He was a moed b'mixas and he can't swear. The malva is a moed b'mixas and he can't swear. So whenever a person admits to a part that on the other hand, he can't swear, as we'll learn details, because he doesn't know how much. He doesn't know. And there's a big klal. Whoever is chayiv to swear, but he cannot swear, is chayiv to pay. So how much will he pay? He'll pay according to the number that the borrower is claiming bavadai, how much it was worth. The only thing the malva can do is he can make a chedim on people that are coming against him with tiny sheker.
Person making it borrowing whatever and doesn't know what's the worth of it.
He doesn't know the value of the mashkin. I can relate to that. I can relate to the chavedim. They give a loan. How much is this worth? I don't know. I know how much my wife paid, but I don't know how much it's worth. Halacha. Hamavas chavedim v'kol izman leparoim. A loan was given, and you have a time for payment. In other words, the date was not affirmed with the kinyan. The rule is, can never collect before the end of before it's due. Bein b'milva al peh, bein b'milva b'shtar, bein shelva al mashkin, bein shemeis loiva, bein shemeis malva. That's a big klal. I mentioned yesterday between Mincha Ma'ariv, the Rebbe has a very good chiddush that the Rebbe uses often concerning the din that we learned yesterday. Perik Yud Aleph Halacha Vav. We're coming to it again from the other angle. That Chazaka ein Adam Pereya Chayva B'Toich Zmanim. That's the sugi in Baba Basra Dafei, and that's how we pass it. And normally people, I remember, you should be learned ein Adam Pereya Chayva B'Toich Zmanim. It's a psychological thing. And my father used to say that if they're not, they don't pay their debt. A Brazilian doesn't even feel they owe money. It's like, and before the due date, they don't even owe. It's not that they owe later. Well, they don't know. It's not the date. So they live it up. It's the way people live. So the Rebbe says that on top of that, it's also connected to a halacha on the malva. You know that there's a big nafkamina whether a halacha is based on an umdana of human psychology. So also you have that on a versus if it's based on a halacha. If it's based on a halachas, it's much stronger. Like he's saying, a malva is not allowed to collect prior to the due date. And the Rebbe explained why not, because since when you give tzedakah, you have to give it the sefer param yafas. Right? There's more mitzvahs giving the smile than giving the money. And then we learned that giving a gamach is the biggest level of tzedakah. It's tzedakah. Because if you have to be generous in the way you give it, not just the number, part of that generosity is that if you established a due date, not to collect it before the due date. That's part of the generosity. So there's a din that, in other words, the malvik does not collect it. And what did we learn? We learned also last week that if I know that the borrower doesn't have money, I should not even walk on the same side of the street. Not to make him feel uncomfortable.
After the due date.
After the due date. Oh no, it's all, you see, it's connected to that. That's why ain't Adam Perei Chayv B'Toich Zmanim, because the malva won't collect it. Now, what happens if there was no due date? That's the standard. However, it doesn't mean that when you lend money, you can never get it back before 30 days. No, you can give a loan and say right away, giving you a loan on the condition that I can collect it whenever I might need it tomorrow. If you say that, then you can do it. Because Tanai, Maminu, that's the rule. You can make any Tanai that you want. Based on this, like an intro. Based on that, when the Malva is coming to collect a loan, he's saying, today's the due date, and it's already the end of the day. The Loivu says, no, I have another 10 days. So they're having a debate, not concerning the number of the loan, but concerning the due date. So Haloiv Nishba Hesses, which is amazing. That today is the last day, I mean, today is the due date, then just to remember that. And we're going to learn about the three biblical oaths, and when you are saying something against one aid, like in a moment, it's now, next thing, the lender says, which is interesting. That means he's not collecting it, but he's already saying, guys, there's 5 days left. The borrower says 10. So first we tell the Malva, wait until the end of 5. You can't even, if he would have the right to collect it now, what would the loiva be? The loiva would be ki'ilu amayda b'mixas. He would be chayv shvur d'oraisa. The Malva cannot collect it now. They tell him, you're saying 5 days, don't even come here now. When he comes at the end of 5 days, so he's saying today, the loiva is saying 5 more days. So back, the loiva only has to swear shvur sesses. Hoisa hamilva b'shtar. And the ton haloiva shizman kovatoli. And the vart is that in the document, there is no time of payment. You don't have that in the document, says the Rambam. See, it's already different. See, and the word is like this, guys. When you have a document, you know what a document does? What did we learn yesterday? A document creates a lien even to the land of the loiva. Since there is such a lien, we can argue the malva is already a shtickle muchzik over there. That's why it works over here. And since there is no date in the document, Yakir, you look at the document. If there's no date, it means it's due now. And there's a lien already. So now the malva gets to swear. It's amazing. And it's only a shvus hesses, because the loiva is saying there was a zman, the malva is a koifar hakel against that. But again, a document makes the malva a muhsak. The loiv is claiming there's a zman, there's no zman on the document. It makes it it means it's due right now. And then v'yitel miyad. And the final halacha in this chapter, halacha ches, hamilva nitna litara b'chol makim. So we learned about collecting not in the presence of the borrower. We learned dinim of we don't know exactly because of the mashkin, collecting from a mashkin if we don't know how much the mashkin was worth. Zman of a debt and the makim. And we learned similar dinim, guys, when it came to the returning of a pekadon. We learned similar dinim, like where are you allowed to return it? Where can the owner demand for you to return? Now we're learning about a loan, similar dinim. The lender is allowed to ask for it, doesn't matter where. For example, if the lender loaned the money by Yishuv, obviously we're speaking about the Zman is up. Happens to be that the borrower and the lender, they're by midbar. The malva has the right to tell the lender, pay me back, even though we are by midbar. By telling him, no, I know it was a loan of 30 days, it was a loan of a year, I know today's the due date, but come on, we're in the desert. No, today it's due. But let's go in the other direction. Today's the due date. The loiva is the one that's initiating payment, but it's not in the most convenient location. So here the din is, if he wants, he can be makabel. But if the malva wants, he can tell the borrower, now remember, the Rambam used the Yerushalayim and Lud, I think. Yeah, B'Yishuv, it doesn't have to be in the same city. But the malva has the right to say that I gave it to you B'Yishuv. You can guard it easier. There are less bandits over there. And whatever you have in your pocket, no, they're still under your custodianship. You're still chayv and achai. So like it's chayv even for an oinus. When we come to a yishuv, that's something that the malva is allowed to say if he wants. Obviously, every case is a case. Sometimes the malva take the money and run. The guy will never pay you again. You don't know that, but if the malva wants, he can deny payment. Okay. Moving on to today's second chapter. Perek Arba Asar is dealing with a documented loan, which has a lot more koyach. And we're going to learn all of the various tainas, halachic, good claims that a loiva can come along, even though he's making a claim against the document. And a lot of these tainas will give the loiva a lot of power. Perek Arba Asar has 15 halachas, beginning with halacha al. So let's get familiar with this expression of someone who's poigem b'shtarim. Poigem b'shtarim means like this: let's say if I'm the lender and I have a document, my document gives me a lot of power. I have a document that you owe me money. It's very difficult for you to say that you paid it because I'm going to ask you, shtarcha biyadi, my boy, if you paid it, you should have taken the document. And even if the borrower says that when I paid you the money, you claimed you couldn't find the document, then I tell the lender, then you should have told me you want a receipt. Where's the receipt? Which is another way of paying money, even if you don't rip up the document. So normally, when I have a document, I'm empowered. However, if I'm either, meaning me, the malva, that you paid part of the loan, I'm poigem my shtar. Now think about it. If you owe me $100 and I come to collect with the document and you only have 50, I'm not going to say that I won't take it. Again, so like we learned in the previous chapter, sometimes the eights are toiv for me is take what you could right now. The only problem is what happens to the document. So one of the systems, and if people know how to write, then you rip up this document, you write a new document that there's a debt of 50. That's ideal. If you can't do the ideal, one of the things people used to do is that both the borrower and the lender, they would find a third person that they both trusted, and they would give the document biyat shlish, because it's not fair for anyone to have the document. It was the very fact that the lender still has the document weakens the koyach of the borrower to claim he paid for part. Because if you paid for part, why do I have the document with all of the chayv? But if the malva is moida, some of it was paid, that called he made a pagam in the start. He weakened the legal power of his document. He's already moida. This document, as it is not true. Right now, you don't owe me 100. That's called a poigem b'shtarim. Oi, she'ed meid al shtarim. Shupurua, I'm the lender. I have a document. But there was one aid that is testifying that this was already paid. This is also a case where the document is weakened. Or, which is really the beginning of the previous chapter, Perek Yud Gimel. And as we learned, as a cloud, whenever I'm coming to collect, remember what we learned? I have to take an oath. There are certain rules that has to happen, which means that even though normally if I have a document, why would I have to swear? I have a document. No, there's a rule. There's a takanas chachamim that I could collect, but I have to take it off. Or which we mentioned yesterday. We're going to have a whole chapter. I think Perek Chav Beis is going to deal with this extensively, but that's the rule. If it's a documented loan, there's a lien on property. If the borrower then sold this property, the creditor can collect it from the lekuches. But that's already it's a bigger deal. It's a bigger deal. Or if you're collecting from the Yodesh, that we learned yesterday in Perek Yud Aleph. We're not speaking about Yisrael and Ketanim, but we're speaking about the difference between a milva b'shtar and a milva bal peh. We learned that a milva bal peh, if I remember correctly, right, there are 3 conditions which will allow you to collect from the Yodesh. They have to be met. A milva bal peh, milva b'shtar, you collect from the Yarshim Gedolim. Bein Kotel Mein Gadol. All of these cases, here we go, guys. What is the rule? Lo yipara ela b'shvua. You get payment, but you have to take in shvua. What type of shvua? Ke'ein shel Torah, which means b'nekitas chayfetz. Why the Rambam sometimes writes b'nekitas chayfetz? Why he writes sometimes ke'ein shel Torah? I don't know, but they mean that. And the Beis Din tells the lender, Hishava, you have to take an oath, and only then can you get the money. And he's coming right now. I'm giving a scenario where he's coming to take payment. Just one example. So why does he have to swear? We're chayshish that maybe the loiva paid. But no, if he's coming on the day that it's due, that's called bismanoi, based on the chazaka that we just spoke about in the previous chapter. We spoke about this in Perek Yud Aleph, and we'll be speaking about this a lot. Chazaka ein adam perea toich zmanoi. They're coming to collect from the Yarshim. What's the fear? Maybe the father paid back. But it's due today. It was not due yesterday. Then nifra shalei b'shvua. Then lo yigba ela b'shvua. Very good. Halacha beis. Hatevei chavei liparoi. The Torah loiva shapor ashtar zer mitzasa. If the loiva claims, again, it's all about this. Perek is all about the document. The loiva is saying, guys, I paid the whole thing, or I paid part of it. The Baal Ashtar is saying, Loi nifrati, you did not pay me garnished, paid me nothing. Then the Beis Din tells the Loiva Shalom Loi. In other words, there's no oaths that are needed. You can't tie against the shtar. If the Loiva insists and he says, I want you to swear that I didn't pay you. If the Loiva makes that ask, then mashbian oisim nekitas chayfet shalei parakum. Wow, that's a very important rule. I want to add a detail that we're going to have in this chapter in Halacha Yud Beis. When will Beis Din demand for the malva to take this oath? If the loiva already has the money in Beis Din. I appreciate that. Means for the loiva to say swear and then I'll pay you. Beis Din tells the loiva first, bring the money here. Show that you have how to pay him. But the word here is that then the malva has to take this oath. Or if the claim of the loiva is that he paid part, which means he's moida that he owes part, he has to swear. He has to. The malva has to take an oath that it's not the way the loiva is saying. You didn't pay me 50. You paid me nothing. He has to swear against the time of the loiva. But that's only if the loiva asks and the loiva has the money in his hand. However, here again, one of the fringe benefits of being a Talmud Chacham.
All right, we've had this before, that if he's a Talmud Chacham, he's exempt. Doesn't that cause people not to lend them money in case this spreads?
If someone thinks that this guy won't be honest, that means he's not a Talmud Chacham. I thought you were a Talmud Chacham. Now that I see you're lying, you're not even an honest person. Or you are, yeah, I'm sure all of these things happen. Okay, the lender brings out a document that's already mekoyim. So again, there's a concept of a document that's not authenticated. We're going to learn about that. You can collect with such a document, but then the borrower has the right to say Mizuyev. For that, you'll have to authenticate it. Here we're speaking about a case that the lender already came with a notarized, authenticated document, and still the leiva is saying, or Shaitan, this entire chayiv is ribis. Or avak ribis. Even though avak ribis, if it was already paid, it's not forcibly returned, right? Avak ribis is eina yoytze b'dayanim. But on the other hand, if the avak ribis wasn't paid yet, it may not be paid. But that's what the guy's claiming. The whole thing is just an avak ribis. Oy shaitan shu shtar amana. Look, guys, a shtar amana means a loiva. Let's say I'm a borrower. I need money, and you're a wealthy gevir, and I need today to cover my bank. I need today $40,000. You know what? Sometimes I do. I know if I'm gonna come over to you, I'm gonna ask you for gamach $40,000. Even if you're gonna give it to me, you're gonna want a star. I already wrote a star. Not that you will. I wrote a star that you loaned me money, and I walk over to you and I give you the document. Hold on to this. I'm doing it because I have a munah that you're not gonna collect money if you didn't lend. And now I'm asking you for the loan. Because I'm setting up the scenario where now all you need to do is to give me the money. You already have the star. And I'm claiming now the borrower, I never loaned you money. I gave you a star of money, but you never loaned me the money. That's star of money. The other case is similar. Because the other case is that I, the loiva, I wrote the document. I didn't give it to you yet, but I lost it and you found it. Just that's the difference between these two. Here, even if it was notarized, in other words, a shtar amana was notarized. That's what the loiva is claiming. If the bal shtar would have been moida, the shtar would have been batal. Guys, is it possible to forge notarizations? Everything is possible. In other words, if the bal shtar would have been moida, but the malva is not moida. Here again, what did we learn? That was the whole big chiddush in halacha beis, that even in scenarios where the beis din doesn't impose an oath on the malva, the loiva has the power to demand malva swear, and we make the malva swear. What about over here? Here, the loiva is demanding you have a document. I know that it's authenticated. It's notarized. I'm claiming it's mezuyah. Swear that it's true. So the Rambam writes there's a machlekes between the go'anim whether this power that the loiva has to be mashbiya, the malva, is shayach on this case or not. Because here the malva has a greater power. The malva has a document that's already notarized. Even though if he would have been moida to the time of the loiva, he would have ruined this document. Yesh mishohida that shechayev alashtar nishama ke'en shel Torah kemi shaton olav sheparoi, as we just had before. Right, when the borrower claims not that document is not good, borrower claims I paid back, and by the way, again, I paid back against the document. The beis din doesn't tell them garnished, go pay. If the loiva says I paid back, swear that you didn't receive from me, the malva has to swear. However, it says that Rambam v'Rabbi that imigash hoiru shelo yishava hamalva. The only oath that we learned that the loiva can impose upon the malva is only if he tainas that I paid back. Because at least the loiva is being moida, the shtar is good. He's only debating whether he paid or not. Everything we learned in Allah Gimel. If your document is already notarized, what time is he saying? No, we don't accept that the notarization is forged. It doesn't work that way. Eli Yishalem. Now, let me just say something. If indeed, if you did not lend to me money, which is what I'm claiming, the whole thing is a forgery, I have to pay. If I paid you shaloy kedin, what's my kind against you? You owe me that money. That's a b'chala rule. I have the right to go over to you and say, you owe me money. What happens if you're a koifer hakol? Shvuas essence, the most he can make is a shvuas afterwards. Im yoyde yasol, them kofi yishol hesses. But to be machayev the other tzad, a shvua ke'ein shol Torah, he never has such a power if the document is a document that's mekoyim. Gaval. Halacha dal. Hamoitz yishal chayv al chaveiroi. And Malva Oimer Loy Nifrati Klum paid me nothing. The loiva says, I paid you half. Look at this crazy case. And they find witnesses that say he paid it all. What would you do over here? This is such a great chapter, all of these cases. In other words, before the Edom come, I paid half. We just learned in this chapter. David, I cannot claim I paid half against the document. I would have to pay all. The max is I can tell Bezdin, make the Malva swear that he didn't get half. Okay, that we learned. Here they made an investigation and they find Edom. And now if he paid it all, are you going to be, let's go, are you machayiv the loiva to pay? Yeah? Why? Because he does baldin kameya Edom done. If I'm machayiv myself to pay, even though Edom are exempting me, my testimony against me will trump. Nishba haloiva. Now, why does the loiva have to swear? I'll tell you why the loiva has to swear. Because the Malva has a document that you owe me your all. He's a moedem mixas. I Edom are it's gewaldig. Nishba loiva and then noisen mechza. Why sharei hoide b'mixas? Now, what's the question here? What will be the counter argument? Why does he have to swear? Since there are moedem mixas means that your claim is strong against me. I'm trying to exempt myself from some of it. So let me swear that I don't owe more than that. Here, actually, the shtar should have been nullified because of the Edom. The Edom are saying that it was paid back. So when I'm saying that I owe half, let's view that as someone who's a Meshav Aveda. A Meshav Aveda never takes an oath. It's very important. If I lose my wallet and you find it, and when you give it back to me, I tell you, David, it was $100. And you're saying there was only 50. You're not Moedem Mixas, you're not Chayiv Shua, you're a Meshav Aveda. So why don't we say that they ain't a Meshav Aveda? Well, you know why? Because there's a document. This is Gewalt. On the other hand, don't forget that the Edom really, they emasculated, they took the koyach away from the shtar. The Edom are saying it was fully paid. The only reason why the loiva has to pay is because the loiva was moed. But you know what that means? You can only be goiva from property that belongs to the loiva. But you cannot be goiva from the lakuches. Because the lakuches can say, how can you collect for a debt that Edom said is fully paid back? Oh no, I'll Edom this way. This is Mamish Gaval. Halacha. Hoitzi Allah shtar chayiv. She'eni yachal l'kaimai. We're going to learn later how that can even be. But there's such a possibility. No one knows the Edom. But Amar Aloive, who could have said Mesuyev, but he says Emes, Shani Kasafti shtar zeh. No, the shtar is Emes. Nor was then Abel Parati, or like we said, Amanahu, or like we said, Kasafti Levazayin Loy Levisi, here says the Rambam, since the loiva, it's a document that cannot be notarized. If he would have been a liar, he could have said loyal about a So So then Hare is a Nemon that it's Amano. And we give him that credibility. Now he has to make a shvur sesses and be a potter. However, if later the Malva figures out how to notarize it, it takes away the koyach of the loiva. And we don't close the case. Now this is like any other shtar. When I come with the shtar, as a rule, a shtar mekuyim that was halacha gimel, you got to pay up. And the Rambam says not only do you have to pay up, you cannot even be machayiv the malva making the oath. Halacha v'ach. Hoitzi olav shtar mekuyim. The lender has a document that's already authenticated against the borrower. Here again, Mizuyafu notes a forgery. I never wrote it. Or and here that was a halacha gimel. But now, you know what? Between Beinenu, this document is Mizuyaf. But you should know, I will start kosher hoyeli. I have another document. I lost it. What would you say over here? In every case is Gavaldik. These are the easiest things to teach in Cheder, in Yeshiva. You stop over here and you have the whole class debate. That's called he was spoiking b'shtar because he said that what? That you're right, that this is a mezuyaf, and be'ilu ratzo amar ein a mezuyaf, because where's the halacha vav is he's coming already with a shtar mekuyam. Shenein is kaim based in. Nevertheless, ein ogav by klum. Ein ogav by klum. Fakert ela nishva aloy ve'esas v'niftar. You know why? Because the moment you say that this shtar is mezuyaf, nigmar sipur. You don't say migu. You're having another time. What's your other time? You owe me money. Say that. The other guy's koifer hako.
Can I ask you a question?
Let me just finish reading it inside. Yeah.
How is it possible that it's a Mekuyim star if it's actually Mizuy? How does that work?
Okay, so let's go. One of the ways, just like, think about it, guys, just like someone who's an expert forger can forge the Chasim of Adam, you can forge that. You can have someone, I'll tell you more, that can forge the notarization of the base. He has to be a greater
In
expert.
this case, we're saying the Mekuyim part of it is also a forgery.
That's right.
Uh,
Which technically you can do. People forge passports. People can forge real documents today.
I mean, we're not saying that it was.
No, we're saying that the whole thing is a forgery. The whole thing is a forgery. And the truth is, ein lo davar soif. In other words, is such a thing possible? Yeah. But making the other step of notarizing is another step. It makes it harder to forge. It takes away the amateurs. And there is a point where halacha says if you come with such a document, that has to be accepted. We don't even look into it.
And although there was a chov standing, right?
Huh?
Although there is a chov standing between the lover and lover.
No, the lawyer was saying no, it was never a chayv. In this case, every case, saying
No, but
Taramana, he's saying
he says, Beni uvencha.
the Malva is
You
saying
know that I owe you the money.
no, the Malva is saying that.
Oh.
No, the
You know
Malva
that I owe you. That you owe me
Malva
the
is saying I lent you money and I lost the documents. What should I do? There was a
So-
document.
so-
I made a forgery. You're right.
Right.
That's it. You finished.
And the lover the whole time says no.
The lawyer is saying that they're correct. I never owed you the money. It was never a loan. Halacha zayin. You need a coffee, Akir. I'm saying these cases are good.
Yeah.
I have 4 coffees in this coffee.
2 days.
Starbucks coffee over here. The burnt coffee. This is a good coffee. Halacha zayin. Shtar shalava boy uparoi. Guys, another thing. You can never reuse a document twice. Even though same people, same amount of money, once the document was written for the loan and that loan was paid back, because once that debt was paid back, and the document is like a shard. And now let's go weiter. And no. So based on what we learned in Halacha Zayin. And the Malva says, I know that when this loan was written, that you paid back. But the next day I gave you again the money and we kept the same document, right? I gave you back the money. And I loaned you a second time. Again, based on Halacha Zayin. Harei batal ashtar. Which the Malva was poigim to start completely. And therefore, it's going to be what? Just to know. It's going to be like any other case. Without a document, you owe me. The other guy says I don't. He's a koifer hakel. Max, was hesses. Max. But if the Malva is saying you paid me back, you didn't pay me back. You wanted to pay me back. You gave me shekels. I didn't want shekels. I wanted dollars. Or you gave me dollar bills that were partially ripped. Was the Levi saying I paid you back? The Malva is saying, not that I received that payment and I gave you a new loan. Whatever you used to pay back was not good enough for me. That's not the Vatal Dishtar. Even though he held on to it, he's saying that I looked at it, I was not makabel. And I told you, then we batal ashtar.
So where's that money?
The Levi is saying you never gave it back to me. You kept it. The point is that whenever the Malva makes a taina that he is moida that the shtar is kecheres, he lost the koyach of coming with the shtar. In our case, the Malva is saying he's not denying the physical fact of the Levi that I took what you gave me. Yeah, remember, I took it, I looked at it, and it was torn, it was moldy. I gave it back to you. Well, you're saying you never gave it back to me. The Malva has the koyach. The Malva is believed. The Malva has the document. Because the Malva has the document. Hoitzi, halachatas. Hoitzi, all of Shtar Mekuyim. Again, he's already coming with a Shtar Mekuyim that what? Sheyesh loy olavam. That the borrower owes the lender 100. Mana is 100 zus. I paid you in front of it. He mentions names of two peoples. And Beis calls those two people. But there's a problem here. The Eidim never knew there was a document. The Eidim never saw a document. They saw the borrower paying back the lender. That number, the one mana. And now the Malva says, no. That was from another loan. That's a great taina. Here the Malva is no longer believed. Even though the Eidim don't know about a shtar, once the loiva, you have the Malva is coming over here, Yakir, with one shtar. Don't forget, if I come without a shtar and you're a koif and hakel, again, shvus hesses. That's how we view the Malva here. Once he brings Eidim that he paid back, the Malva cannot claim, that was from a milva balpeh. That this is a milva shtar. The Malva is not believed anymore. Harei batal ashtar. This is really great. The Eidim must know that it was to pay back a debt. Now, true, the Eidim don't know about the shtar. The loiva links it. The halacha links it. But the witnesses saw a debt repayal. But what happens if two Eidim see Reuven or Shimon giving Reuven $100? They don't even know for what. That's then Reuven doesn't lose the shtar. But they don't know. Maybe it was Materis Pikadim. Maybe it was a matana. I mean, etc., etc. Maybe there was a sale. They don't know. And Imam Balashtar. That so if he says you never gave me any money, now the Malva is a shackle, right? Why is that? Because Eidim are saying this guy, the loiva, gave you money. But if he says now he has the right to say no, that was from a whole different thing, and he can even claim it was from another debt. Even if he claims it was from another debt, the fact that the Eidim themselves don't know what that money was for, that's different. The nishba v'noitel ma b'shtar. Sharei loy pero ba'edim. Umatoich sheyach aloyim matam v'nasanim li nem aloyim peroin shel chayv acheheim. This is mamash gaval. Omalei haloyve. If the loyve says, again, going back to the beginning of Halacha Tes, this guy is coming with the shtar mekoyim. The Malva is coming with the shtar mekoyim that the loyve owes him one mana, $100. The loyve says, whoa. Shtar choiv zeh, this that I owe you 100 is not from a loan, it's from a sale. The may shor shalakachti mimchoi. You lender, you are a butcher, and that was the case over here. You shechted an animal. I got an ox from you. I got an ox from you. Forget the loiva is the borrower. And for that, you wrote a document that I owe you from the ox. But 1 second, what happened is that after I shechted the animal, you already took the $100 words from the geshachtan meat. The ato gavis as the may psarai. Now the star says K. Ani gavisi damav mechoiv achar shoyli etzlacha. Yeah. When I went and I collected from the meat, that was from another debt. That what? Should the may hashoyr who hachoiv, he's moida that this loan, he's moida, came from a sale that was not paid. He also was moida that from the very item that he sold, he collected $100. The Malva was moida so much, batal ashtar. And the Malva knows the Malva could have said, I never took anything from you. Doesn't help. That's called he was poigam the shtar. There was too much that he's agreeing with the loiva with, which makes this not a shtar of a loan.
Why does he have to use the case of the meat and the cow.
Because it has to be from, because in other words,
Why do you name that the regular money?
no. It has to be from it was, I think that's Dafka the word over here.
You pay back with me.
That's what the loiva is saying, and the malva is being moida. In other words, it's different when I lend you money versus if I make a sale, if I sell you something, and then from the very article that I sold you, in this case, that's the meat business. We settled it from the very meat, which is very normal. People would sell their animals and they would take from the butcher the part of the Demei Asher. And the butcher would remain with a little amount that would be his reva. These are normal business transactions. They are too aligned for the malva to still have koyach from the shtad. Yeah, again, it has to be that it's from the Demei Hashoy. That's a big part of it. Halacha Yud. Hoitzi olav shtar choyv. Hoitzi olav shtar choyv ve'eid echad. Guys, there's only 1/8 signed on the document. Now, midin Torah, whenever I have 1/8 and the other guy is scraped and hakol, he has to take a shvur doirais. V'haloi v'toin parati. So that's the din harei zeh mechoyev shvur. Why is it mechoyev shvur, Danny? Whenever I come with 1/8 that you owe me money, if you're koifer hakol, you're chayv shvur doirais. This is one of the 3 shvur doirais. When I have an aid, that's already mechayev you a shvur if you're not paying. Here, you're not claiming it never happened. You're not a koifer hakol. You're saying parati. You got yourself a problem. Now we have this rule: whoever's chayv shvur and he can't swear because you have to swear against. He's not swearing against the aid. The aid is not saying whether parati. The aid is saying you owed the money. This guy's saying I owe the money. You can't swear because you're saying parati. But if the borrower demands of the lender, which is what we learned, guys, in the beginning of this chapter. That's the big din, that the borrower has the right to tell a lender, you have a document. I have to pay you. I want you to swear that I didn't pay you already. He has the right to do it. Let's read it. And that's a big oath the lender has to make. And again, we're going to learn in Halacha Yud Beis, you can only make him swear if the borrower already has the money in the basement. As we learned in Halacha Beis, and the borrower tells the lender, Halacha Yud Aleph, the Bezdin. Koifer means I never owed the money, and then 1/8 kam shalom. So right away, that's the din. That's the shvus al. But yeah, I borrowed the money, but I paid back, or you were meichel, or you owed me another debt. So I'm balancing our books. Because you are going against the eid echad, because you're claiming that you're not contradicting the eid. You're moida. You're just claiming that afterwards I somehow paid you back. You have to pay. Now, halacha yud beis, this goes back to halacha beis. That mi shatan shaparashtat. And as we learned, that even though you won't be believed that you paid against the document, the bal hashtad will be neman. You will have to pay. But the borrower has the power to demand the lender to take an oath. And we're saying that he has to make a shvur ke'enat. It's a very big oath on the lender. Nevertheless, when is based in Machayev, the lender, the malva, to swear, first they tell the borrower, bring the money here. If he says, we already had that, the Konas HaGoin, when there was many Ramoyim. And only then Yashbiya Shalei Paro, and only it's prior to Beis Din seeing that the borrower is going now to pay back the money, the borrower cannot be Machayev the Malva to swear, unless he has the money in his hand. Halacha Yud Gimel, Bishoy Chayev al Chaver B'Shtar, and V'Avad Ashtar, but the Edem Ar Kayomim, Afal Pisha Kol Miyodoi, V'Toan Shapara. In other words, guys, Konali means that even if there would not have been a star, what did we learn, guys, if you remember? We already mentioned this. If I tell to Adam, David, that I'm chayiv money, even when I'm saying that, it only is a mova b'al peh. We learned this yesterday or last week. we're gonna have to go more details. If I in front of two Adam make a kinyan being moided that I owe money, even though I didn't tell the Adam to write it and to give it, they can write it and give it. That's the code. Even though there was a kinyan that I owe the money, which means if there would not have been a shtar, they would have been allowed to make a shtar, but that's not the case over here. Here, the case is that there already was a shtar. No one is writing a new document. The Toan Shepara, it's amazing. Hareza Nishba only Hesses. It's amazing. Guys, once I lost my document, I lost my koyach of my shtar. It becomes like any other milva balpeh. You can be koyfer hakel. Max, I'm saying shvus Hesses. And loigezman li para. And we have a chazaka ain't adam put it money. The moment it was documented and now it's lost, and the loiva is saying parati, it's crazy. Nemon. The only thing is he has to take a shvus Hesses sheparoi. Which is why the document got ripped or the document got burnt. Or the very fact that you had a document and you lost it tremendously diminishes the koyach of the malve. The document is ba'olam, but not in the hands of the lender. Nah, I already paid back. Before I ripped it up, I lost it. That guy found it for me. Even there, if the malva doesn't have it in his possession, this the chazaka guys of Ein Adam Pereya Teichsmane. The fact that he doesn't have a shtar, that is almost like a proof that it was paid Teichsmane, which is why the malva gave up the document, which is why he doesn't have it. Now he's trying to claim that he lost it. It's not true. Halacha Yudal. Shnayim, this is the first Mishnah in Baba Metzia, but formulated not the talis, but in the shtar. Shnayim, shemerchsim b'shtar. You see the importance of the malva having the shtar. They both go into Beis Din holding on to the shtar. The malva says shaliyu, and I pulled it out to demand claimant. The labor says, no, I already paid you, and I lost it. I found it, and you're grabbing it. Even though it's not yet the koyim, that's the shwur that we have in Bava Metzia. Beis Din does not make two people swear when they know one oath is going to be sheker. There's such a thing as possible. Like we mentioned in the beginning of the first chapter today of Pogim Shtoresov, in this chapter, that sometimes I paid back half. We don't know how to write a new document, so both of us give it biyat shlish. That was a common thing. It's possible that he only owes half. The shalom aloyve mechza. But if the document is a document that cannot be notarized, which means, guys, that the loiver could have said mezuyov and he won't have to pay anything, so he has a migu. Now, and the final halacha in this chapter, halacha tezvav, mana yesh li biyotcha. You owe me a mana. You owe me 100. I owe you 0. Or he tells him, I owed you, but I paid you back. So the plaintiff says, that's the right. Make a shvus Hesses. Whoa. What do I mean? The guy is saying, why should I make a shvus Hesses? I know what's really happened. You have a document against me that I already paid. You're making me take a shvus Hesses, but I'm taking it for nothing, because after I'm going to take it, you're going to pull out the document. What did we learn in this chapter? If I have a document, you'll have to pay. Bring the document now. Don't play your games over here. Don't make me take a shvus Hesses and then you're going to get payment. He's claiming that there is a document. Very good. So Beis Din tells the malva, Have Ashtar. Now, if the malva says, Ainli Olav Shtam, and there's no document, or I had a document and it got lost, that we tell the malva, that's fine. Batel kol shtar sheyesh lecha koydem zman hazeh. In other words, the loiva is saying one thing over here. If I have to take an oath, you hear David, I want to make sure that I'm taking an oath and I will be done. We don't bring this up on our own. But if the loiva says, but I know you have a shtar against me, so they tell the malva, make a declaration that all of the documents that you have before today is nullified. which means that even if the malva were to bring a document, he can't do anything with it.
Why wouldn't the Bible show with the document from?
Because the malva is a stinker. Such a thing can happen. He's angry at the loiva. He thinks the loiva is the him a cup. He's going to make the loiva swear. Then he's going to pull up a document and he's going to shame him. He's going to show everyone that loiva is a liar.
Right from day one, he showed up with the document.
He'll only get the money. The malva doesn't want to only get the money. He wants to be machayev the guy to make an oath. Let him make an oath. Let everyone know that he swore forcefully. You have these people. It's gewaldige cases. So he has to be or at least, like could be the malva says, I'm not going to be mevatel my documents. Hachrim chedem stam. And then it's amazing. He cannot make him take an oath. He cannot make him take an oath. If the loiva, if the malva is mevatel l'shtaris, good. If the mevatel does, the malva tells Beis, I have to be mevatel my documents. He cannot make him take an oath. All what happens is that the malva can make a chedim on people who are not paying him. But the loiva doesn't pay, and the loiva doesn't have to take an oath. This is amazing. And today's final chapter, we have to get moving. Perek Chamisha Asar. Perek Chamisha Asar has 7 halachas. Now we're going to learn about certain tanoim, certain conditions regarding paying back a debt. As we'll see, halacha aleph. Hamalva is chaveda be'edim. We're beginning with a case where there was a loan without a shtar. Even though we learned that if you lend money even in front of Edom, as you should, the loiva does not have to pay back with Edom, but they made it tonight. You pay me back in front of Edom. Later on the shtick, you're going to come and say parati. I don't want that. Parati, there's Edom. Whether he made that condition when he gave the money, which he has the right to do. Guys, he even has the right to make this condition later. You know, some conditions you cannot make later. I want you to know that. Normally you cannot make any conditions later. The Maisa happened already. Such a thing you can make. If I lend you money, and I know the din of Milva Balpeh, you can pay me whenever you want, which is not good for me, because then you always get to say, parati. All you need to do is shvua sesses. I, the lender, have the right to tell you, listen here, only pay me in front of Edom. But if you're going to come and say parati, bring the Edom. Such a tanai is gavaldik. It protects the lender. No, I paid you. I paid you in front of, and you mentioned the names of two people that went on a trip. You understand? And then there's two people that died. So then the loivas believed. You're back to the normal case that the malva says you didn't pay, the loiva says you paid. It's not a documented loan. The loiva has to make a shvua sesses v'niftan.
How do we know that he made this stipulation?
There's no debate about this. They're both moida to it. Or, Danny, if it happened when the loan was given, hamalva es chaveda be'edim, those edim heard that tonight. But that's not the point. The milsa agav urcha is that normally, how can you make tanoim after you did the transaction? By a loan, you, the malva, always have the right after you lent the money. As long as everyone is still in agreement that there was a loan and it wasn't paid back yet. Only pay me back in front of me. Because there's too many things going on in my life. I don't have a good memory. You're going to claim that you paid back. Could be it's true. I'm going to think you didn't. Let's not have that. Pay me back in front of Adam. I have the right to make that right. But you have the right to say you paid, and you can mention names of people that are not there, because you have to put also give something to what should the borrower do. The Rambam is going to write at the end of this chapter what? The borrower has to pay back in front of Adam, take those two Adam, put them in jail, and hold them forever in jail. So if the malva is going to claim it's not true that Adam should be there, you can't imprison people. It's possible that Adam traveled. And people die. Get insurance, guys, life insurance, Danny Fishman, it's very important. That's how Danny lives. That al tifreini el b'fnei talmidei chachamim, oy b'fnei roifim. And the lawyer says, I know, we made that, I agree that we made that. B'fneim paraticha. Happens to be that those Edom sheparaticha b'fneim, those talmidei chachamim, those doctors mason, those doctors l'minasayim, hadei zanema. The nishma hesses, the shvua sesses always has to be. But what happens if the malva was more specific? Not pay me back in front of Edim, but what? Yes, Al tifre'eni elo b'fnei pleni upleni. The Malva mentions specific Edim. Now let me say Baal Peh, guys. If I'm the Malva, if I say pay me back in front of Reuven and Shimon, we're not brothers. It's not, they're not good for Edim anyways. If you pay me back in front of Levi and Yehuda and they are here, you're not chayiv money. It's very important. If Edim are coming to base and other Edim and they're saying you paid me back, you're good. Case here is that those Edim are not there. I told you pay me back in front of Reuven and Shimon. You are claiming you paid back in front of Levi and Yehuda. That's the case. For Amar the Loiva says but and those two, Levi and Yehuda, passed away. Or now you're not believed anymore. That makes sense already. But if they would have been here, you would have been good. But I told you to pay in front of Reuven and Shimon. You're Maida that I said Reuven and Shimon. You're just saying that it happened to me. Reuven and Shimon were not available. You took Levi and Yehuda, and they happened to travel. No, because the lender says that's exactly why. That's exactly why I told you two people. For you not to Adrei Yaakov. And I know, why did I say Reuven? Because I know Reuven and Shimon, they have the seichel not to move to Florida. They're going to stay here. For you not to be able to push me off. So now the Malva is going to be believed. Halacha beis. This is a very unusual halacha. This might even be unique. Where the Rambam, we're not talking about the codex that the Rambam referred to when we went in the beginning. I think it was by Tfilin or Sifrei Torah, by the Parshiyos. Here the Rambam is going to speak about the various texts of the Gemaras that were found in the times of the Rambam, and how there were ones that were correct and there were ones that were mistaken. And the Rambam is going to argue that there are certain halachas that the Go'onim, they paskened based on a girsa that was erroneous. So he's rejecting their psak din because they had the wrong text. Halacha base. Yesh nuschos min haTalmud shekasuv bahem that she'ha'omer lechaveiroi al tifre'eni elo be'edin and v'omaloi piraticha b'fnei ploni uploni v'hol l'dinas hayam. They had a girsa in the Gemara that ain't an emen, which is exactly not what the Rambam paskin. That was the whole halacha aleph. The loivas believed to say that. Says that I'm not arguing with this psak din. I'm saying that the whole thing was a tos sfarimi. And furthermore, other recordings of the Gemara where the Gemara writes the words not Einoi Neman, yes Neman. Mixas Talmud Yoshan that was still written on parchment. I just want to say, and the Rambam says how he knows that such a type of parchment was only used 500 years prior to the Rambam. I just want to say this, guys. The Rambam was born in year 1138 to the Mispar of the Goyim. The Rambam passed away in year 1204. The Rambam lived for 66 years. 500 years prior. And those Gevilim, I found two nuschos, and in both of them, it says, yes, Neman. Now that the Rambam is already speaking about Piskei Dinim that were made by various Go'onim, by various Poiskim, based on a erroneous Girsa, the Rambam writes further, next case. Now, what did we say? I said this by heart. Even though the Rambam also said in the beginning of this chapter that if the Malva says, pay me in front of Reuven and Shimon, and the borrower says, I paid in front of Levi and Yehuda, and they're not here, in that case, he's not Neman. That's only because Levi and Yehuda are not here. But what happens if the borrower brings Levi and Yehuda? The Rambam says they're relieved. They, based on another mistake in their Girsa, they held one is really connected to the other. Since you're not Neman, if you bring Levi and Yehuda, you also won't be Neman. And Rambam says, how can that be? You have Edom that you pay. They had She'ena Neman Afal Pi Shehevi Ha'edom Sheparei B'fneim. The Rambam says it's a big mistake. How can that be? I know that I said pay me in front of Reuven and Shimon. So what? if he paid me the money, he doesn't owe me. He has to aid him. The Torah believes to aid him. If they are in base, then we believe they aid him. Even though they're not the same Eidim, Niftar. And the Rambam says the reason why they wrote that is because they had that din also betos. Was only al pi sifrei hem shekasu behem shebaisa she'amal chaverim Qur'anim b'fnei Edom sheshon halachos. And he, which Edom, the ones that are masters and halachos. V'hol Qur'anim b'fnei Edom v'zu tois svarimi. What's also begavilin also pari beinei ubein delay. In other words, when is he not believed? Only if he paid him. That's the real gear. So without Edom, that's when he's not believed. If he paid it in front of Edom, even though not the same Edom, and they are here, they're going to be believed. Furthermore, in other words, there's two things that you should understand. Like when we have in our Gemara, the Hagos Habach. First of all, based on Seichel, you cannot change a girsa in the Gemara. If you read something in the Gemara and it doesn't make sense, it says Eina Neman. It would make more sense Neman. No one has the ability to say it's a mistake. When you have two nuschois, which is what we have, first of all, the Rambam, forget about the logic, found that the ones that are older are more authentic because it's a copy of a copy of a copy less. Second of all, when you have two gersois, then you use your mind. Which one makes more sense? So aside of the fact that the ones that the Rambam has, the ones that were 500 years older, they're more authentic. Aside of that, that version, he says, Dvarim Shel Dasei. That's another derech of deciding which girsa is right. The one that makes more sense. What? And watch, like you said, what? This guy's gonna have to pay and pay and pay. Im says that pay the pam. And im keno nasas eitazu bishtar. The nimsa zeg kivan shamaloi altiv el be'edim nasas milva bishtar, which is the only time that you have to pay and pay and pay, Danny, is if there's a document. And milva al peh is never like a milva bishtar. The emish all libielza. So not only is my older version more authentic because it's older, it makes more sense. Or this dear version makes absolutely no sense. Aval vada yimam if they plaining. Who hifs it alatzmai? The only time that the Rambam agrees that Ein Neman is if the Malva says, pay me in front of Ploini, Reuven and Shimon. The borrower chose other Edom. And they're not here. Then the borrower loses out. But if those two other people come, let's go back. Other Tanoim. The Malva tells the Loiva, I'm lending you money. I want to make one thing clear. There are two Edom that are testified. I'm lending you money. Al Tanai, you are never believed to say that you paid. You don't want the loan? I'm not going to lend you money. I already got burned. I give people loans. They say they paid back. I don't know how to write. You don't know how to write. We're living in a village. You can't document it. And he agreed to it. No, I'm sorry. Yeah. And what's without the shvua, guys? Last chapter, halacha base. In other words, if that was the condition, the loiva who's claiming parati cannot even tell the malva swear. No, that was the agreement. But even here, again, Edom, if Edom come and say that he paid, cannot get paid. The condition was that you cannot say parat. If you have Edom, like you were looking at me, so why would the guy take a loan? Such a borrower will pay back in front of Edom. Halacha dalet in the other direction. Here's the Olav Shia Malva Nemek Shnei Edom. If the loiva said even more, I am accepting the loan with the agreement that your malvas, your word is like to Edom. Here, even if the loiva is bringing to Edom that he paid him, the malva is saying you never paid me. And I'll tell you more than that. Even if the loiva brings 100 Edom, doesn't make a difference. That was the condition, and 2 is like 100. However, if he told him, like a shloisha, Why would he say such a statement? That makes absolutely no sense. How do we make sense into it? You're like 3, but you're not like 4. Now the loiva pays in front of 4.
So 3 is worse than 2.
Oh, 100%. Adding and subtracting. So now the question is, your kid is thinking this, what should he do? If it was a document, rip up the document. We just had this in the last chapter. The Levi should tell the Malva, come in front of Tuedim and say that you're Mavatal all of the studies you have against it. That he received already payment. Okay, in such a case above, the Levi paid, but the Levi has Adam, but they're not believed. So the Levi paid again. You hear? Because of the Tanai, it doesn't mean that the Levi is stuck. The Levi can make a new claim in Beis Din. I know that I made a Tanai. Because of the Tanai, my parati was not accepted. I paid him twice. He owes me money. He can make such a claim. Now the Malva has to make a shua assesses. Because I paid you twice. And actually, if the Malva will be murdered, the Malva has to pay. If the Malva will deny, then he has to make a shua assesses. He's not like here the opposite direction. The borrower is making conditions. Where do you have such a world? I know, I'm a sugar in the world. The borrower is telling you want to lend me money? I'll do you the favor and I'll borrow the money from you. But tonight, that whenever I say parati, you're going to believe it. So then, Eina goive b'shtar zeh, loy min hayodesh, v'loy min halakeich. Ever. And v'afilo omar loy v'loy parati, ein hamal v'toidet b'shtar zeh min halakuchas, because we are afraid maybe they made a kanunya between each other. To analog b'shtar zeh, and he says parati miktsasoi. Now he already agreed that whenever he'll say parati, he'll be believed. He's saying I paid back part. The Malva says you paid nothing. He has to pay miksa shahoidaboy. This is amazing. V'nish b'shvuas hesis, not moide b'miksas. Why not moide b'miksas, Danny? Because that was the agreement that he'll be believed when he says parati. So on the part that he said parati, he's fully believed. Gewaldig. The aim is not all of Shia says that more than even that he doesn't have to swear. And the final halach in this chapter, halach Zayin, he's the hamalvem, that I should always be able to collect without an oath. What oath are we referring to, guys? We're referring to the oath that we learned in the 14th chapter in halacha beis, that the borrower always has the koyach, even by a star. You have to swear that you didn't receive. The Malva says, I'm lending you money. I never want to have to swear. Nevertheless, where
was that stipulated? In front of Adam or?
Yeah. No one is denying that. Then that's a big cloud, guys, because the borrower Yakir has the right to say, I will not be machayiv you a shvur. But if you're coming to collect from the Yarshim, I don't have the right to let you off the hook from something that you're not chayiv to me. You're chayiv from the Yarshim. The im hisma sheyikva af min hayodesh b'lei shvur. Wow. Then goyve b'lei shvur. The chein im hisma sheyikva min ha'idis. That whenever you come to collect b'chal chayves, come from a taltlin. We learned that. If you don't have a taltlin, then you're goyver from karka. Only from idis. That was the agreement. Gave him an idis, and that's even in a yarsh. Shakol tanai shalom kayim. However, even such a case, if you have to come to the lakuchais, because in other words, by the yoidish, I'll tell you, by a yoidish, even though by default you have to swear to the yoidish, but if the borrower said you won't, the Malva says, I don't even want to have to swear to your yoidish. If they said that, he has that power to agree. Because don't forget, the yoidish is coming mikoy choy. The lekech is not coming mikoy choy. So you cannot stipulate